When I was growing up, the Bible seemed to be one of the most complicated books there was. I'd been through Sunday school, and I'd seen Bibles. We had a Bible in our house. We had a really big one. We had some small ones. I had my own Bible. Yet I didn't really know how to approach the Bible. I mean, like most books, you start at the beginning and you go to the end. Of course, I usually jump to the end, but we won't tell anyone that. So when you start learning the Bible, one of the first and most important steps is to have an idea of where, okay, by the way, you're familiar, there are 66 books in the Bible? 66 different books. The word Bible means book, and it's a library. It's a library of 66 books talking about our life with God and God's relationship with us. This is a book that many people call a love story because it is God's love story with us, those who lived before us and those who will live after us and with us right now. So here's your assignment. If you're willing to take the challenge, I'd like you to memorize the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Genesis, where we become God's family. Exodus, where we make an exit out of Egypt and spend time in the wilderness. So we have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Those are the first 5 books of the Bible, also known as the Torah in Hebrew. The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Now I have to tell you that when all of this was going on, they didn't have a book that they could say, in the first 5 books. This is a process. We receive what they wrote at different times in history. But through this, we see God's relationship with us. So first, memorize the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Second, if you haven't memorized the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, do it. Know what a gospel is. Know where the words of Jesus are. They are in the New Testament. After that, here's actually the fun part, because when we get together in our small groups, you will be having challenges. You need to tell me which book of the Bible goes into which testament. So I might say something like, Ruth, where's Ruth found? Or, where's Jude found? Where's 1 John? Where do you find 1st and 2nd Chronicles? And don't confuse them with 1st and 2nd Corinthians. 2 different testaments. If you even don't know how to say it, if you can know where it is, it will give you a sense of understanding how Scripture is put together. We'll talk more about where the canon, yes, they call it a canon, how the canon was collected. By the way, canon means rule of measure. It's not a bomb, not a weapon, okay? Where the canon comes from. And we will begin to look at the Old Testament. But first, let's have some fun. Look at these names. Look at the different books. Quiz yourself. Quiz your parents. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Hey, Ma, tell me, where does the book of Solomon show up? Or is there a book of Solomon? How about Song of Solomon? What if you come up with a book that isn't in the Bible? Or perhaps it's in the Catholic Bible, which has extra. It's called deuterocanonical texts, but we'll just call it an extra chunk in the middle between the Old Testament and the New Testament. My friends, this is what we will be starting to explore. Don't worry about saying the names. It's okay. We don't all have, well, none of us read Hebrew. I did in seminary. But this is written in a different language that has been translated into English. And so if you say it wrong, that's fine. But there's one I will tell you about. It's J-O-B. It is not Job. It is Job. Job is a person. Job is something we do. All right, my friends, you have the challenge to look into the Bible, to memorize the names of the first 5 books of the Torah: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, or G-E-L-N-D, and the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Then figure out what book goes where, so that when you hear it, you'll know. That's it. That's all you need to do right now. And I ask you to have fun and to know that the Bible is your story. No, you're not in here yet, but you are in God's story. And that makes all the difference.